Hello, welcome to Random Movie Time. Today's feature is the 1921 silent film classic, The Kid, written and directed by Charlie Chaplin, starring Charlie Chaplin, Jackie Coogan, and Edna Purviance. This tells the story of a down-on-his-luck grifter who finds an abandoned baby in an alleyway, raises him as his own, and teaches him the art of the graft, until one day his real birth mother shows up. What did you think about this movie, Shannon?
I was pleasantly surprised. I really rather liked it. I never really paid much attention to Charlie Chaplin movies. I've seen bits and pieces over the years, but I found it really good on many levels. It was more complicated than I thought a Charlie Chaplin movie would be as well. The acting was really well done, and Charlie Chaplin was a very talented man. I think I kind of knew that anyway, but I didn't realize he actually composed the music for a lot of his films, and this one is no exception. He composed the score for this film, and wrote and directed, as Tommy said, as well as starred in it. It was quite good. A young Jackie Coogan, who you might know as later on he played Fester in the Addams Family, but he was in a number of things through this film was released in 1921, so he was in a number of things between 1921 and the Addams Family. So that was quite good. I was struck by the social commentary that Charlie Chaplin was making. He wasn't a communist, but he was a socialist, and he definitely sympathized with communism, as he has publicly mentioned, which got him banished in the end. It was surprisingly dark at first. The opening scene is the mother leaving a hospital with her baby. She's a single mother, and there was a lot of religious overtones and criticism of the religious state at the time. I think the first slide was something, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like a sinful mother leaves the hospital or something. It wasn't like that, but it was something like that. And it's like, whoa, there were overtones of sarcasm there, even though it's written. But
showing the Stations of the Cross.
Yeah.
Like actually showing them.
Showing Jesus Christ on the cross dying. So there's a lot of criticism of the institution, certainly. But in the end, it starts out really dark. I was really, really surprised by that. But in the end, it turns out it starts to get a little lighter and a little more lighthearted. And I was really surprised at how much those tramps had to eat. Let me tell you, I've never seen plates that full before in my life. Piled up, and they gobbled it all down.
A lot of pancakes.
A lot of pancakes and stew. I worked hard for that stew and the pancakes, grifting all day. But certainly a great story, and very well told and very well acted. Like I say, I was very surprised, and I actually laughed. I'm not really one for a lot of old style comedy, but I laughed a few times with this one for sure. That's my take. What do you say, Tommy? What do you think of this?
Well, what can you say about The Kid? Probably hundreds of books have been written about Charlie Chaplin and his movies at this point. Really analyzed from A to Z. I guess if you're a film critic and you don't at least appreciate Chaplin, it would sort of be, it'd be like a food critic who doesn't like Italian or something, it'd just be like, what is up with that guy? I definitely appreciate Charlie Chaplin movies. But it's not like I wake up every day saying, oh, I can't wait to watch some Charlie Chaplin movies today. But I appreciate the craft. I appreciate the fact that, he was one of the people who helped basically start the modern film industry, especially here in the West. So all his innovations, his editing style, his camera techniques, really knowing how to make a crowd pleaser, a lot of that came from Charlie Chaplin. So he was very, very smart. As for the movie itself, it was, at this point, that story is, I guess, kind of a cliche almost. It's definitely been copied a lot, but it's just a simple story. So you couldn't really say that, you can't really say that, oh, if somebody makes a movie about somebody adopting an orphan, that's copying the kid. It's just a very simple, straightforward story. And, it was a short little movie, as a lot of those movies were, about 55 minutes, I think. And, yeah, it was funny. It was nice. It doesn't work, obviously, as well today as it did then, I'm sure. The one part about it that really surprised me, that the most interesting, unusual part of the movie, I would say, was when he has this dream sequence and he's imagining that he's in heaven. And the interesting thing about it was that for him, his idea of heaven was basically the back alley slums where he lives, except with a bunch of flowers and people have angel wings. So it's like slightly cleaner looking. And that was his idea of heaven. But it's funny because, I remember as a kid trying to imagine what heaven might look like, and then, thinking of very mundane things like that, like, my favorite restaurant would be right beside my house, so I wouldn't have to walk. And then, like, you think about it, and it's like, well, why would you even need a restaurant if you're in heaven? All the food would just come to you automatically. So, or would you even want to crave food? Would that be one of the things that you could leave behind, So that was a very interesting sequence where it was showing that his dreams weren't very big, maybe. He seemed to be fairly satisfied with living the life of a grifter. But the movie has a very sweet, sappy, happy ending, which was nice. And it's a classic movie, and it's just inspired so many other filmmakers and so many iconic images. Jackie Coogan, cutest little kid ever,
Yeah. So cute.
Really steals the show. Anyway, yeah, classic movie, and I really enjoyed it. How many bowler hats would we give this one?
Bowler hats. I'll give it a 4. 4 bowler hats out of 5. It certainly surprised me, and it was very well done. How about you, Tommy? How many bowler hats do you give?
Same thing, 4 out of 5. And I wanted to add that Charlie Chaplin movies are being shown on the Criterion Channel. And when I was a kid, Charlie Chaplin movies were all they looked very old. They looked all cut up and washed out. But some of these restored Charlie Chaplin films on the Criterion Network and on the discs that they sell just look like they were made yesterday. Really, really great. This movie looked great, and especially Modern Times really looks good in the new restored Criterion version. It looks, like it was shot yesterday in HD.
Yeah, this movie that we watched was restored. It was the 2015 restoration version, so it was a lot clearer than the old tiny ones.
Yeah. Well, with that, I guess we'll get in line for the soup kitchen, and we'll see you next time on Random Movie Time.